You're listening to His Empire of Dirt by Pearlandpine. Chapter 18. Michael Afton should apply to OSHA. Henry is asleep. Mike chugs some water to alleviate the headache he knows he'll have tomorrow. Night, Will. He heads to his bedroom, but Will lingers, stopping him from closing the door. Yeah? Why are you doing kind things for me? He demands. Not harshly, but insistent all the same. He continuously flicks his tongue against his canine, staring at Mike ferociously. Mike counters. Why are you? It's expectant of Mike to help William. He has to. But William helping him in return is utterly paradoxical. Mike never would have thought that the first person to talk him down from a panic attack would be the man at the heart of them. William opens his mouth to retort, but then his shoulders sag. This whole thing's odd. How do you mean? He sinks further into the doorframe, leaning his head against it. No one has ever been kind to me before. And now 4 entire people are. I cannot comprehend it. Do you think you deserve people to be cruel to you? You said it yourself. None of us deserve any of it. Parents beating you, and the rest of the world is entirely separate. Parents are beholden to love you. The rest of the world is not. None of them would be kind to me if... He lets the thought linger, but Mike can read his mind. If they knew he wanted to kill people. William enters the bedroom without asking permission, shutting the door behind him. Why'd you do it, Fritz? Mike doesn't need to ask William to elaborate. It was an accident. It was a prank gone wrong, and it was an accident. He got crushed in some machinery, and I didn't mean to. He has attested this to his father hundreds of times, but Dad never cared. William, though, nods, but his expression laces with disappointment, as if he is bereaved to learn that Mike is not a sadist. It was my fault, though. That's why I deserved to be hurt. I killed someone that mattered to my father. Did he just go on and forget about you then? He never forgot. Dad doesn't forget things. William sagely nods. Fritz, thank you for teaching me how to swim. Again, tell a soul, and I'll have your head, but still. Thank you. He tightly nods, bids Mike a good night, and opens the door. No, Fritz. He lowers his head, and his face cannot decide whether to smile or crack into a dejected frown. If it had been me, it wouldn't have been an accident. He closes the door behind him. Mike's room succumbs to darkness, and underneath the blanket, Mike mutters in reply, I know. The next day, Henry and William take Mike to the shop. Mercifully, at least to Mike's sanity, Fredbear has been moved. Evidently, their professor has encouraged them to put all of their devotion into this project, allowing them to use the class time to work on the animatronics. The shop is a few miles away, and it's really just a shop for cars, where the owner apparently knows Henry's father, which allowed him and William to use the back room for their project. When they enter, Mike startles at all of the machinery, imagining that he's back looking at parts and service, waiting for Bonnie to tear him apart. "Okay, Fritz," Henry says, pulling his shaggy hair back. "I have come to the heartbreaking conclusion that Fredbear just doesn't work." "How so?" "Please don't tell me you're going to make him into a suit." "It's too normal. It sucks, basically. I was too scared to admit that to myself. I mean, technically it's impressive, but it can't help me with what I want to do, so Will had the idea to do something new. Something that no one's ever seen before. So I thought I could make him into something like an animatronic and a suit." "Great. Great! You shit!" Mike jolts as a robot hand flitters its fingers on his shoulder. He could pass out. There have been far too many close calls with animatronics. From Mangle almost sneaking in through the vents to Springtrap almost ignoring a child's call and bursting in through the open door. Mike cannot list the amount of OSHA violations his father and Henry committed that almost led to Mike's own death. When he turns to greet his robot executioner, he's only greeted by William, wearing an endoskeleton arm, tearing up with laughter. "Oh, Fritz! Oh, if only you could see your own face!" He's doubling over with his chuckling, waving at Mike with the robot hand. "Don't do that," Mike warns, but William is still laughing. "Well, that's what we wanted to show you," Henry says, "but in a nicer way, obviously. We'll take that off. You're frightening him." "What, scared of rabbits, Smith?" "That is not a rabbit. That is a fucking robot." William scowls. "Animatronic, mind you. Not even the full thing. Just the spring locks." He claws the hand at Michael once more before succumbing to Henry's serious gaze, unwinding a spring at the wrist, gingerly removing his fingers and withdrawing his arm. He presents the invitation to Mike. "See? You unwind the springs, and you can wear it as a suit. Then, once it's complete, it can also function as an idle animatronic. They'll be able to perform or serve, and when we need 'em, we can wear 'em. It's good, eh?" He looks absurdly proud with himself. "Perform?" Mike asks, as if he does not know the answer. "The restaurant," Henry answers. "Oh, dear, did I never mention the restaurant to you, friend? I'm sorry." William looks smug, as if it's an advent that he knows about the restaurant, and no one else. It's with this that Mike is plagued by not being omniscient. Henry and William are completely progressing their relationship at school. Perhaps at night when Mike is sleeping, but fuck, he does not want to think about that. And not in front of him. He's missing crucial elements. When they plan the diner, when they first invent Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, if they've even told each other that they love each other. What if whatever happens to Dad happens while I'm away? Will's got the minor in business, and I've always wanted to just do something that makes people happy, so we thought of a restaurant. Like a diner, where Rabbit and Bear can be. Oh, yeah, that's really interesting. I've never heard of something like that before. It's not interesting, it's brilliant. Regardless, you've been our critic, so take a look at these, and tell us what you think. Then he pats all over his body, huffing. I left my cigarettes in the car. One moment. Actually, Fritz, mind getting them for me? I need to try the spring locks one more time. Yeah. Mike heads to the car, and when he returns, pack in hand, he watches from the window for a moment. The shop is abandoned, aside from the trio, so he has no external problems spying. Henry is helping William into the leg of an animatronic, and William is holding onto his shoulders to steady himself. When the duo was successful, Henry beams, William twisting his leg within the contraption to demonstrate its efficiency. Then he tangles his hand into Henry's hair, pulling him close and kissing him. When the both of them pull away, they're looking at each other with nothing other than warmth. Well, in Will's eyes, perhaps there's something more. There's the warmth that comes not from a beautiful candle, but from the wrath of the sun. It's nothing natural. It's obsession. Henry is oblivious to this, though, smiling at William like he's the only thing in the world. Mike's poor at reading lips, but he thinks Henry's saying something like, "I think you're beautiful." And William is replying, "I know you're beautiful." And Mike wishes so horribly that the restaurant never comes to fruition, that the both of them can be sane together. But it will never come true. Not like this. Not unless Mike has something to say about it. Mike alerts them of his presence by knocking on the door. He tosses William his cigarettes as Henry rifles through some of their storage. After some rummaging, he heaves and withdraws a head, and the head jumps down on Evan, and he dies. And Mike is killing him. "Fritz," William says. And then, when Mike's breathing remains erratic, William limps over to him, his leg restricted a bit by the rudimentary spring locks. "It reminds you of it, doesn't it?" Mike barely nods. "Henry will be right back. Need some air." "All right. Don't be too long, though. Springlocks haven't been outside too much." "Yes, sir." William marches over to the door, drags Mike by the collar, and stares at him in the main room of the shop. "Shit like you ended up living with a couple of blokes constantly around machinery, eh?" Yeah, I guess." "Yeah." William offers him a cigarette. "Why do you think I smoke like my life depends on it?" "Go ahead." Mike is about to refuse him, but he wants to be able to exist around the endoskeletons, so he reluctantly and clumsily grabs a cigarette and puts it between his teeth. William lights the end for him, and when Mike inhales, crap. William's right. It instantly puts him at ease. "There you are. Why would you... Tell me the truth now, Fritz." William's eyes flicker with darkness. "It wasn't just an accident, was it?" "No, it was. "Fritz," William smiles. "Perhaps you did not mean to do it. But when all was said and done, things were different for you, weren't they? Being able to hold life and death in your hands." He looks desperate now. "Fritz, please, I need you to... I know you think we're just alike, Will. But I can't tell you that it was good. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me." "No, it wasn't. Your old man was the worst thing that ever happened to you. Fritz, come on, I know you want to kill the bastard. You want to burn him alive. You won't be able to say that if Evan didn't die. You killed someone, Fritz. Why punish yourself for it for the rest of your life? Because he was just a kid." Mike retorts, but William's smug expression refuses to waver. "We were all kids once, you know. You were the survivor. You said you missed all of them, right? They don't miss you back. Live for yourself. There's nothing more that you can do for yourself than to take... Stop being so fucking selfish!" Mike snaps, and when William's eyes turn to anger, he regrets it immediately. But he doesn't. He's been waiting for years to tell that to his father. "Stop it! You can't just take for your whole life. And why not? When neither of us have ever received anything in our entire lives. Why not? I deserve to, Fritz. We do.
Come on, you've got to tell me that it felt a little good to do it. That it finally freed some part of you. That being selfish was the best thing you could have ever done.
Why? Because you need permission to?
Yes!
William's eyes widen when he realizes what he said. Fritz, I just want to help you. You helped me very greatly lately. So I just want to return the favor. I want to understand you. It wasn't an accident. It was an accident. If he's honest with himself. So terribly honest. It felt kinda good to not hear Evan crying for once in his fucking life. William's eyes narrow, as if he's searching Mike's mind and discovering exactly what he wants. See? I told you. We're just alike. Fritz, we have to take for ourselves, 'cause no one else will give. I will. I'll always give. I can't do anything else. I don't have anything to give.
Yes, you do. You're a damn genius. And you charm anyone you meet. And people love you. They really do. And you could be so good if you just let yourself and...
Mike frantically smokes on the cigarette and turns away from his father.
I can't take any more, Will.
Because you can't. Or because you think you don't deserve to. Both, if he's honest. I'd take for you, Fritz. I'd take everything for you. For Henry. I'd take it all. And I'd use it to fix you. Mike drops the cigarette and pushes William against the door.
Stop trying to fix everything!
He thinks the ghost of his mother is roaring through him as he begins to cry. William's expression is shocked as Mike holds him against the door and immediately lets go.
Stop trying to fix everything. Stop.
Christ, Fritz. William shakes his head. Then he frowns. Do you really believe that? Mike heaves.
Believe what?
William shifts uncomfortably. That people love me. And that I'm good. And that I could give to them. This is it. This is the most important answer I'll ever give in my life.
Yes. I know you can.
William smiles so sadly that Mike's heart shatters. I wish I could believe you. You're a liar, though, Fritz. William turns to the door. Next time you look through my journal, mate, make sure to put it back in the same position that you found it. Mike is consumed by horror and dread. And then he realizes that Dad doesn't just need a friend. He needs someone who unequivocally needs to kill just as bad as he does. To give him permission. To tell him he's not a monster for his bad thoughts. And Mike can't be that person. He had nearly forgotten how good of an actor his father is, when the both of them return to the room. The matter before is seemingly non-existent, William himself humming as he removes the mechanical leg. "Fritz," Henry asks, "what do you think?" Fredbear is nearly completed. At least, his endo is. He stares at Mike like the Grim Reaper. Is it really safe to wear? Entirely. At least it will be. Couldn't the spring locks crush you? Mike thinks of how his father died the first time. Well, theoretically, make them safe, Mike says, picturing Evan in Fred's mouth. Make them as safe as you can. It'll be fine. Mike is still mad, still scared. So he marches up to Fred's mouth, stares into the darkness of his empty eyes, and sticks his arm between the teeth. When nothing happens, Mike spits on the teeth and wipes his dried tears onto the mouth. And then there is a horrible grinding sound, and Henry grabs Mike and lurches him backward as Fred's teeth chomp down at him. "Fritz!" Henry exclaims, his face wrought with worry. Mike stares at them seriously. Make them safer. When you think they're safe, make them safer than that. Against water, stiff movements, anything. Make them safe. Henry is still entirely consumed with anxiety, but when his gaze flickers to Fred's shut jaw, he nods. I'll make them safer. I will. I'm sorry, Fritz. I just got excited and you're right. Henry. He doesn't want to break Henry's heart too much. It's still wonderful. You're still brilliant. I just don't want you or anyone to get hurt. I promise. That seems to allow Henry's pride to wax a bit. Okay. You can help us too, if you want. You seem to know what you're doing, at least a bit. Right, Will? Correct, William says. But when Mike turns to him, his friend isn't staring at him, but instead at Fred. Henry packs away their things for the day, muttering about the lubrication of the spring locks and adding a water-resistant adhesive. William pulls Mike aside. Don't do that again. Why? Because you're so damn proud of what you've made? William stares at him seriously. I don't want you to die like he did. Henry exits the room first, fiddling with his keys. William is ready to follow him, but Mike stops him. I wasn't lying. I'm sorry for looking through your things, through your journal. But I know you can give, Will. I'm sorry. William curtly nods. It didn't feel good, did it? Mike shakes his head in affirmative. I'm sorry too. Might have been projecting a bit. William studies Fredbear. There was a rabbit once, when I was young. It were nearly dead, twitching in the street. I took it in my hands, and I smiled, because I thought if I could kill it, I'd just about feel like God. He speaks like there's no one else in the room. Christ, I never even considered saving it. He arches his head to Mike. How awful is that? He lights a cigarette and puffs it onto the endo. I'd kill for the both of you. I really, truly would. I know. Well, come on. Let's go home. Fredbear lingers behind them, the grim reaper, waiting for father and son to fall, like they always, eventually, will.